He aimed to be the successor to the famous 727 and ended up being the longest narrow-body airplane in the world. The Boeing 757 first flew in 1982, and more than 1,000 units were manufactured until 2004. They were commonly used for short and medium-range domestic routes, transport services, and transcontinental flights. The major customers of the 757 included major American airlines, European charter airlines, and cargo companies. Welcome to a new video. This is the Aeropedia of Aviation World. The 7-in-7 project, as this aircraft project was initially known, began in the 70s, following the launch of the first wide-body passenger plane, the 747. Boeing began considering new developments for its narrow-body 727 plane. Remember that a wide-body plane would be when they have more than one aisle to divide the seats, and the narrow-body when they have a single aisle separating the passenger seats into two blocks of rows. The three-engine 727 was quite a success. It was the best-selling passenger plane of the 60s and a pillar of the US domestic airline market. Studies focused on improving the 189-seat 727-200. Two approaches were considered: an elongated 727 and a completely new plane with the codename 7N7. Which would be a twin-engine plane using the new materials and improvements in propulsion technologies that had become available in the civil aerospace industry. At that time, airlines were attracted to high bypass ratio turbofan engines. New flight deck technologies, lower weight, improved aerodynamics, and lower operating cost promised by the 7N7. Boeing proposed that the plane offer the lowest fuel consumption per passenger kilometer of any other narrow-body civil aircraft, aiming to be much more efficient than the 727. Two variants were to be offered: a 7-in-7-100 with seating for 160 people and a 200 with capacity for 180 seats. When Boeing officially designated the plane as 757, Star Airlines and British Airways became the first airlines to place orders, but only for the 200 version, which was longer, and no company then ordered the 100 version, so it was discarded and never manufactured. At this time, Boeing was also working on the wide-body twin-jet 767, and to reduce risk and cost, the company combined the design work of both twin jets, resulting in shared features such as interior equipment and piloting characteristics. The only thing they shared with the previous 707, 727, and 737 was the cross-section of the fuselage. The two-engine configuration was chosen for greater fuel efficiency compared to 3- and 4-engine designs. The prototype of the 757 first flew on February 19, 1982, and was in evaluations and tests for 7 months, where data from the 767 program helped to speed up the process. The production aircraft was 1,630 kilograms lighter than originally specified, and a fuel consumption rate 3% better than expected was recorded, causing Boeing to further promote the fuel efficiency features of this aircraft. It was offered with two engine options: the Rolls-Royce RB2 1211, also used in the 747 and 767, and the Pratt & Whitney PW2000, also used in the Boeing C-17 Globemaster III. It was a twin-engine, low-wing design. It had a maximum takeoff weight of 115 tons and had a range of 5,435 kilometers. Its maximum speed was 918 kilometers per hour, and it had a capacity for 200 passengers in two classes in the 200 version and 243 passengers in the 300 version. Early operators already pointed out greater reliability and quieter performance compared to previous aircraft, as well as a greater payload capacity than its predecessor 727. Esta Airlines operated the first commercial flight of the 757 on January 1st of 1983 on the Atlanta-Tampa route. On February 9th of 83, British Airways began using the aircraft for transport services between London and Belfast, where it replaced the tri-engine Hacker-Siddeley Trident. Compared to the 777 and the 727, the new bioreactor consumed 42 to 40% less fuel per seat. After an order from the cargo company UPS Airlines in the late 85, a cargo model, the 757-200PF, was announced, and a year later, a mixed cargo and passenger model, 757-200 yards, was created with an order from Royal Nepal Airlines. Despite the successful debut, sales of this aircraft stagnated for most of the 80s, a consequence of falling fuel prices and the shift to smaller planes in the US market after deregulation. But by the late 80s, the growing congestion of connection centers and the emergence of noise regulations at US airports led to a sales rebound. The production of the 757 reached its peak at an annual rate of 100 planes in the early 1990s. In September of 96, following a launch order for 12 planes from the charter airline Condor, Boeing announced the 757-300. It was a little over 7 meters longer and could carry 50 more passengers and almost 50% more cargo. After the certification of this model, it entered service with the Condor airline on March 19, 1999. Modernized versions with even more capacity were proposed later, but they did not receive orders from the airlines. What did have more acceptance were the 757-200 SF variants, which were second-hand 200 versions converted for use as a freighter, and it was first used by DHL Aviation. In Europe, British Airways Iberia and Icelandair were the largest European customers of this aircraft, and the largest American operators were Delta Airlines and American Airlines, which operated fleets of over 100 aircraft each. In Asia, where larger aircraft were commonly preferred due to the large volumes of passengers, the 757 received fewer orders. Customers' interest in this aircraft continued to decline, and in 2003, a renewed sales campaign focused on the 300 and 200 PF versions yielded only 5 new orders. In October of 2003, following Continental Airlines' decision to switch from their remaining 757-300 orders to 737-800, Boeing announced the end of production for this aircraft. Since the end of manufacturing, the majority of the 757s have remained in service primarily in the United States. From 2004 to 2008, the average fuel cost in the United States for typical medium-haul flights tripled, pressuring airlines to improve the fuel efficiency of their fleets. By this time, winglets were added that improved fuel efficiency by 5% and increased the range by 370 kilometers through the reduction of induced resistance. All of this about how winglets work is explained in the video on the Aviation World channel. I'll leave it at the end for you to watch later and subscribe to that channel. In July of 2017, there were 665 Boeing 757 in commercial service, with Delta Airlines being the largest operator with 127 aircraft in its fleet. Private and governmental operators have customized the 757 as very important person transport, such as the American C-32. National Aeronautics and Space Administration also used it for air safety and operational research, and there are other curious versions like the F-22 flying testbed, used as a test bench for the avionics and sensor integration of the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. There were also very important person transport versions for presidential use in Argentina and Mexico, and even private versions such as those used by Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen or Donald Trump. By 2010, Boeing indicated that the larger models of the 737 MAX would cover most of the market for the 757. By the end of production in 2004, 1,050 units of all versions had been manufactured, and the last aircraft had been delivered to Shanghai Airlines. I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Marcos and this is Aeropedia,